Hello, hello, hello. It is your girl, Lisa Dannielle, and you are watching Zoom After Dark. Tonight, we are in for a treat. We have Dr. Debra Gates, AKA, and most affectionately known as Dr. Deb, and we are talking about Reinvent Her. Now, listen, I know when everyone heard it, they were like, okay, this is a thing for women, but we're really just talking about self-realization, self-awareness, and just how to reinvent yourself in the next season that you're going in. So we're going to have some real talk. Listen, she pulls no punches. She's going to tell us all of the truth tonight, and I'm super excited to have her with me. Will you welcome Dr. Debra Gates? So, Deb?
Yes.
I have a few questions for you. The first question is, let everybody know where they can find you. Where can we connect with you on social?
So you can reach me on Facebook at Dr. Debra Gates.
Mm-hmm.
It's facebook.com/Dr. Debra Gates, or you can reach me on Instagram at Dr. Debra Gates.
Dr. Debra Gates.
Yeah.
Okay. And would you like for us to call you Dr. Debra? Dr. Deb? Can I call you Dr. Deb?
You can call me Dr. Deb.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, Dr. Deb, I am super excited about our subject tonight. I know that there are times that we have seen that we get kind of stuck in a rut, kind of stuck. And sometimes we can be guilty of expecting other people to move us out of that rut. So I really wanted to talk tonight really about just your own journey to reinventing yourself. What were some things that, really inspired you? And then we'll just kind of go from there. So initially, I want to know, when you think about self-reinvention or self-actualization or any of that, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
Well, things happen a little bit different for me.
Okay.
Because what I can't separate is my faith.
Okay.
And so with my faith, when I get to a point where I'm feeling like I was at a point where I was feeling like I was stuck.
Okay.
And I started feeling a nudging that there was something else that I needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't really put my finger on it, but it was, it's a restlessness that you have, that you need to be somewhere else, and where you are is not just, this is not it. This is not the end all. I was very caught up with time, very caught up with age. And so this restlessness, I couldn't figure it out. Why am I so restless? I'm coming into a season, in my mind, coming in a season, in a time where it's time to lay back, it's time to rest. You've done all that you're going to do, and it's just time to just chill.
Right.
But that is not the case for me. So it was the restlessness that I knew that it was something, and it took me a while to put my finger on it and what it was that I needed to do.
Okay, well, you said a couple of things that really stood out to me, and I want to talk about that one thing. The first thing you said was you felt a nudge, like there was something more, and I can't begin to tell you how many times in my own personal life, I have felt like, I know there's something more. I know I'm meant for greater than this. But so many of us will have that feeling, and we can kind of succumb to the fear of the change. What made you say, you know what? I'm going to obey that nudge, and I'm going to move into what's next for me?
Because it wouldn't stop. So I tried to suppress it. I tried to do something else. I tried to go another route, but it is something that you cannot suppress. It is something that, I don't know. I don't know if I can explain it well. It's just that you know that there's something. And then it's very important as to who you surround yourself with and who you share this information. So I have mentors, and I have people that I can talk to, that I can share with, this really feels weird, can you help me with this? So I've had people around me that I can go to and I can consult with that can help you. So it's very important who your circle is, and it's very important who you for lack of a better word, who you share your dreams and your thoughts with, especially when they're in their embryonic state.
Wow.
Because when they're in their embryonic state, you can go, if you're talking to the wrong person, they can abort that
Yep.
mission.
Yep.
And they're good natured. And I'm not talking about someone coming in malfeasance. I'm not talking about someone malicious. I'm talking about well-meaning, well-intended people coming in and giving their opinion about what they think, about what it is that you've been nudged to do. So it's very important. So it's a matter of prayer. It's really a matter of prayer. It's really a matter of going back to God, and the one that did the nudging. And I think so often we get just a little bit of it and then we run with it. And I'm so guilty of that. I'm preaching to myself.
Deb, oh my gosh. Okay. So you said so much when you just said that. You said so much. Let me tell you why. Because I think we always hear about Joseph. For those of us that are in the faith, we always hear about Joseph and sharing his dreams with the wrong people, even though it ended up being the right situation for him as God intended. He probably took detours he didn't necessarily have to take because of his quote unquote oversharing, right? How important was that environment for you? How important, when did you realize, okay, something about the people I'm around has to change? When did that happen, or how did that happen?
That happened much later.
Okay.
I've shared some things with people, and so it's the experience. That it had some of the dreams and some of the things that I wanted to do, they have been aborted, you know? So it's kind of like that was my frame of reference. I learned from that. So I knew that I needed to have people that I could go to. And, you know, there's several sets. So there's not just one set of people that you surround yourself with.
Absolutely.
There are people, so you need to know who it is that you can share your dream with. You need to know who it is that you can just kick it with. You need to know who it is that you're just laughing with. You need to have those people. So I had people that I could go to and say, okay, this is what's happening, and can give me and speak to me from a place of faith.
Yeah.
To help me understand what it was. And then it was a matter, and when people are of faith and they understand that nudging, this is what they're going to do. They're going to tell you, you should go back to the person that's nudging you.
Listen, let me tell you something. That is so good, because when all I heard when you were talking about there are people for everything, I just thought about what containers we put what in, right? Like when we have our kitchen, right? In our kitchen, we have flour bowls and we have sugar bowls. And if you mess around and put the sugar and the flour, right, both of them are useless, right?
Right.
That is so good, Dr. Deb, because a lot of times we can be guilty of putting the wrong people in the wrong containers for our lives, not because of their fault, but because we are not self-aware enough to realize where they belong.
Right.
So, okay, so then I am in friendships that while they may mean well, they are expired, but I don't want to walk away from them. Explain to me the dangers of me ignoring our natural intuition when it comes to things like that.
You know what? That's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard. It's so hard.
Yeah.
To break those relationships when those relationships have expired. It's really hard. And for me, I know that I went past expiration dates for many, many years.
Most of us,
I mean, you know, it's like if you have milk in your refrigerator, you have that expiration date. I mean, you may go like a couple of days past it, but you don't go years. And so I went a long time past expiration dates that I knew that the Lord kind of told me, you know, this one, okay, this, and it's not a bad thing. It's just that you're getting ready to go into a new season, and it's time for this relationship to be over and to be in a different space, and not so much as over, just in a different capacity.
Yeah.
just in a different
And
capacity.
they just transition, right? Because where it
Yeah,
could have been a all day, every day at one point, now it's just when we catch each other, we see each other. I know, speaking personally, I have friends who we were, peas and carrots every single day. And then we all moved all over the country, and that changed in that season. And you go through the mourning period of those relationships
yeah,
and
yeah,
having to deal with even the acceptance that that relationship has ended is so hard on so
right.
many
Yeah,
levels. But I was so grateful that you were willing to discuss this with me, because I really, with everything in me, cannot express how important it is to step away when
right.
it's time, because then you end up being a danger to you and the person.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. So you're getting some good comments here. I've got two that, ooh, that's good, Dr. Debs. And I can resonate with that. So you're getting some good
I'm good,
comments
good,
already.
good,
Already. We just
good.
a few minutes in this thing. We already got some comments. Listen. So I'm so excited about that. One of the things that you said to me, and I know it may sound different from generation to generation. I have friends that are in their 20s that, this statement that you made would mean something different to them. This statement probably means something different to me, but because it is something that will resonate with everyone, I want us to address it. You said at some point you thought time or age limited you. When I was in college, I thought my life's goal was to be a
Right.
corporate lawyer. By 25, I was going to retire. By 40, I was going to have 2 homes and a vacation home, a husband, 3 kids, and a dog. Okay, so all of that is all of that was on the menu. Okay, and the Lord said, "Not so." So,
Right.
tell me how dangerous it is, or how you even began to come to the realization that timelines are more a suggestion than a rule, and help us not anchor ourselves to them.
It was one. So let me just step back.
Okay.
So during those years in my 20s, when I was, my mom was sending me to college and I went to college and, I was going to go through the years and be at school. And at that time I thought, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I think I want to just get a job and really just start living my life. I don't want to complete my degree. And so I remember before the summer, I told my mother, I said, Mom, I don't think I'm going to go back in the fall. I think that I'm just going to get a job and, start working. I mean, I have enough I have enough education. I was about 21. And I was like, it's time for me to just be on my own. So she said, are you sure? And I said, yes, I'm sure. She said, okay. So I went through the summer and I didn't find a job. So now it was fall. And I said, so Mom, listen, I didn't get a job, so I need to, go back to school.
Yeah.
My mother looked at me and said, I'm not prepared for that. And you told me that you were not going to go back in the fall. And so that is a decision that you'll have to live with. And I said,
Mama.
your daughter, what are you talking about? I was devastated. It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean you're not prepared? What do you mean? She said, I'm not prepared. You made a decision, and so you'll have to live with that.
Ouch.
And so I found a job like in the fall, and I started working. I lived in a small town. Economy wasn't as great, so then I moved to Dallas, and there I was with my 2.5 years of college, and I just knew, okay, where do I sign for vice president? CEO, definitely.
Come on.
Nothing less than that.
Right.
And so I get there and I find out that I really need this education. I need this degree. And so I work as an administrative assistant, work. And then one of my friends moved to California, and I said, you know what? She said, you should come to California. So I moved to California. I was like, oh, move to California. That's California. You don't need a degree to get a job in California.
Huh.
So I come to California to get a job, and I find they said, well, do you have your college degree? I was like, well, need that in California?
Yeah.
And so I work at a job, and then I said, Deb, you need your degree, or else this is what you're going to be doing. All right. Now, keep in mind that this is before the age of social media and create your own and make your own and all of that. All right. So I get this job, and so then I go back and I go to school and I get my undergrad, and immediately I start to move up. And after I got my undergrad, I was like, maybe I should get my master's. A few years later, I get my master's, and after I got my master's, it's like, I'm done. I'm good. Yeah. That's when the nudging really, really started about you should do something else. I was like, well, what else is there left to do? By now, keep in mind, I've gone from I was in my 20s. Yeah. I received my bachelor's degree when I was 41. I received my my master's when I was 51.
Okay.
And I received my doctorate at 57.
You look good, girl.
I appreciate that.
My Lord.
Yeah, and so looking at that and looking at time and saying, who does that? Who gets there? Who does a master's in their 40s? Who gets a doctorate in their 50s? And it was then that I realized, you know what? You're going to be 50 anyway. So are you going to have a master's or not? You're going to be 57 anyway. You're going to get your master's or not. And I think that is what helped me to understand that do what you're going to do because you don't know how much time you have. What we do know, what I did realize is that I do have time. What I don't have time, I don't have time to waste.
Ooh, say that again. Say
so
that
one time. I have time, but I don't have time to waste.
Did y'all hear that?
So I have to utilize the time that I have, and I've got to be more strategic with my time.
Yes. Yes.
And so that kind of dispelled that whole time issue.
I have time, but I do not have time to waste. No. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Take up the offering, everybody, let's go home. Let me tell you something, because that is so good. And that is a very fundamental concept that I think we are just lost on in our society right now. We have this feeling of being left behind so bad that we're willing to completely do anything reckless to be, in the positions we want to be in, or we won't try at all. We've just kind of accepted what other people have given us. We're not in a station where we are really challenging ourselves for fear that we've waited too late to begin that journey. And I'm really excited that you said that, because it makes you reevaluate everything. You said you will be 50 anyway. So do you want to be 50 with a master's or a doctorate, or do you want to be 50 without it? Either way, you're going to be 50. Yeah. That is so, so good. I want to go back to the reinvention part, because think about this. Okay, so you're young, you're impressionable, you think the world is your oyster, you're in this small town, you decide you're not going back to college. I just ain't going back. And then all of a sudden your mama tells you, well, now you're not going back because you said you didn't want to go back.
Right.
And you having to grapple with this, what seems like a dream deferred, right? And then after experience after experience after experience, you're realizing that was probably not the best decision that you made.
Right.
Tell me how you stopped yourself from living with that regret from that, or did you go through a season of regretting that?
Absolutely. I regretted that. And I didn't want so then it became I really need to do this. And, and then I felt bad, because, you feel guilt because I'm like, you really had it easy. You had one job, Deb. All you had to do was go to school. That's all you had to do. Go to school, get good grades, get your degree, and come out. Right, and come out of school. And that's all you had to do. Now you are going to school full time, and you're working full time, and you're paying your bills full time. And so my mom came to my graduation when I received my bachelor's, and she said, You didn't want to do it the easy way, huh?
Look at that. Now, okay. Thank you, Mama. Because let me tell you something. My mother used to say this: you can do it the right way, or you can take the long way around.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't have to take the long way around.
Yeah, I
right?
didn't have to.
But we're in an age where some of us are just determined to take the long way around. Like I can't just take your word for it. I have to do it the long way. I want to go to something. There's a novelist. She's gone to be with the Lord now. Her name was Ursula Le Guin, and it's so funny because as I was studying up for this this episode, my plans were interrupted, and I all of a sudden had to leave my studies and go and help my daughter with the paper for school.
Mm-hmm.
As things would have it, it ended up being the exact same author that I had begun to research on Psychology Today. She actually wrote one of the essays that my daughter had to study this week, and it was in the same vein. This author wrote a lot about identity. And one of the things that she says, think about it. Who can a middle-aged woman be in today's culture? What are the options? And what are the options beyond those? That is a question that we ask ourselves all the time. What options do I have left? My golden years are gone. You know what I mean? I always tease people and say, I don't have that many shopping days left before Christmas. You know, we're always joking about it. But I love this novelist in that she challenged us. And if you guys, the ones that Taylor worked on this week was called She Unnames Them. And it is an essay from the perspective of Eve. And in an attempt to get back at Adam, she unnames all of the animals. And, you know, it's really reminiscent of the labels that people put on us and the identity that we find. Talk to me about a season where you felt like your identity was in jeopardy, and how did you get to a place when did you get to the place where you said, I know who I am, I'm happy with who I am, and this is where I will stay?
That is ongoing.
Yeah.
I haven't arrived there.
Okay.
As I think the one time that I think it was when I was married.
Okay.
When I was married, to have when I was married, I just kind of eclipsed who I was, and after I divorced, it was a little troubling. It was a lot of soul searching. It was a lot of time alone. It was it was a lot of time of prayer. It was a lot of time of self-reflection. Yep. It was it's a process. It's a process. And it's a process of going through, and there's counseling and there's therapy to say, you know what, I'm really okay. I'm enough. I'm good enough. Mm-hmm. I am this warrior. I'm sorry.
I like me. I like who I am.
Yeah, I do like me, and I'm enjoyable. I'm funny. I am ambitious. I'm adventurous. I mean, I'm a lot of things. And so to really look at that, and that's not in some narcissistic way, and that's not in some, puffing yourself up kind of way. It's just really identifying. It's just a matter of fact as to who I am.
Yeah.
And that I am a wonderful person, and I am complete and a wonderful person in marriage, outside of marriage.
Yeah.
And so to be able to accept that and to walk in that and to see the accomplishments that I've made since that particular time, and to look at that time and use that time as a springboard, as a catalyst, not to look at that time as a time of regret, but it really was the catalyst. That was a part of who I am.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't gone through that, I probably wouldn't be who I am today. And I really kind of like who I am today.
Yes. Ooh,
and so it was really the catalyst that propelled me to get to the places that I have gotten, because I've learned a lot of things. I think the experiences that I've had have been invaluable.
Absolutely.
And I would not trade. So if I had it to do again, of course I would do it the same way, especially if I had my same mind.
Yeah.
So I can't say that I would do it different, because with the same information that I had then, I would have probably done the same thing. Now I just see, how do you go forward with that that's happened in the past? It doesn't define you. It's just an experience.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's good.
And then you keep going. And then you realize that this isn't the end. You know, I work in the financial industry, and I work in the retirement industry.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the words that I wish that we would retire is retire. Because people think about, I need to get to this point and then this is it. When really it's you're on a continuum. And it's just the next chapter, it's just the next phase.
Yeah.
And so I don't look at it as an end. And so when I sit here today and I look at, here I am at 60 and looking at starting new ventures and starting new things.
Yep.
And with the knowledge and the experience that I have, and I could really handle some things now.
Yeah.
That those things that come with age and that comes with experience. There's nothing like experience. There's nothing like it.
Listen.
And I'm always willing to share my experience, because, you know, people that are, I think when I turned 50, I mean, you know, I'd gone through a divorce, you know, during that 50, actually, let me step back. So when I was 49,
mm-hmm.
I was so scared. I just thought that when I turned 50, that I would just explode. I mean, I just thought I'd just disintegrate, because I was so nervous about 50. It was almost like when we went through Y2K, when we thought after 1999, when we hit 2000, it was going to be it. We were doing Y2K for 5 years before. Yeah. So it was like, oh my gosh, when I turned 50, oh my God, I'm going to be 50, I'm going to be 50.
I'm going to turn into a puff of smoke.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it was just gone. Right. So at 49, I was so nervous. I skipped 49. So actually, I was 50 for 2 years. Because when I turned 49, I was like, oh Lord, I'm 50. Oh my God, I'm 50 and I haven't done this and I haven't done that. And I haven't done that. I was just so consumed with that. So I've since learned, you know what? Stay in the present. Mm-hmm. Stay in the moment. And continue and thrive there.
Yeah. Well, Deb, we are a work in progress. Okay, we as in me, because I tell you, like I war with that every single day. These are the things I want to do. I want to do them by this time. I haven't done them yet. You know what I mean? And I'm constantly telling myself, this is your to-do list. This is what you need to do next. This is what
throw that out the window. Throw that out the window. It's undue pressure. It's just undue pressure that you put on yourself when you put on this timeline. And if we spent as much energy and as much time doing that we need to do, yeah, it will have happened. Right. But we spend so much time on it's got to happen at this particular time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
As opposed to throwing that energy into actually doing what it is that we've been called to do.
Absolutely. Okay, I want to read some of these comments. I got, let's see, what's the last thing I said? Looks real good. Yes, sir. Shout if you just have to. Woo, this is rich. Tammy said, yes, you are funny. Tracy said, I am a complete and wonderful woman. We talked about identity, and Jackie said, amen. So true. You know, one of the things that I wanted to kind of talk about, you mentioned it, and we have people that are married on here. We have people that are single on here. And one of the things that I want to make sure that we address, you mentioned being in marriage. And I know for me, for those of us who are no longer married or were married before, have you ever seen that movie, The Runaway Bride?
Yes.
There is a scene in that movie when Richard Gere recognizes that she doesn't even know the kind of eggs she likes. And I remember watching that movie, and when it was supposed to be a comedic moment, I cried because I could completely identify with not having any idea what I liked. And so I went, for me, my own personal reinvention journey really was a couple of years just figuring out, well, why haven't I ever gone to the movies by myself. You know what I mean? Why haven't I ever shaved my hair bald and with platinum? Why haven't I ever, I just spent a couple years just doing things I never thought I'd do. And I found out that I love waking up bright and early on Saturday morning, going to farmer's market and doing things. I found out things about myself because I was intentional about the journey. And I think so many times we are not intentional about that journey with ourselves. We cultivate so much with other people, but we don't do it with ourselves. And then, and here's where you're coming. And then when you dare to do that, things about you change. And if you don't have the right people in the right container, they will resent you for changing.
Right.
Right? How dare you not be who I've gotten used to? It's not my fault you faked who you were for 5 years or 10 years or 11 years, right? How do we get to a place where we dare to be ourselves? Even if it's a process, we dare to go on that journey. How do we do that?
You just have to make a conscious decision. At some point you just get tired.
Yep.
You get tired of trying to live up to the expectations.
Yeah.
And so to be your authentic self. I mean, it's just, there's so many things. I can't just put my finger on, it was this one thing, it was this one thing, it was this one thing.
Yeah.
I can't say that it was just one thing at this particular time.
Yeah.
It was all of these things happening some things were happening at the same time. Some things I just didn't understand. Some things I didn't understand at all. Yep. Here again, I have to go back to my faith. Yeah. It is a lot of talking, and it's a lot of talking to the Lord. And it's not, well, now, oh Father God, Lord God, have thou cometh thee to. It is straight out conversation. So Lord, look at here, check this out. This is how I'm feeling about this. This is what happened. And so I need you to help me with this. And this is what I'm feeling. And it's those conversations.
Yes.
And the Lord speaks to me and it's a reverence. I have a reverence for him.
Yeah.
But he speaks to me in everyday things that I do and that I love. All right. So one of the things that I love is I love Hallmark. I love Hallmark. I really do.
Yes, I know. I cannot. It's always Christmas and it's always sad, and I always know what's gonna happen. But listen, it's all right.
Let me tell you, I can watch Hallmark on a Saturday. I mean, I can watch it back to back.
Yeah.
So I was in my car, and I was driving, and I was kind of going through a few things and trying to navigate my way through some situations, and not really sure how it was going to turn out.
Yeah.
And I'm driving, and I hear in my knowing, just like those Hallmark movies. And it was almost like an ellipse, like a dot, like I had come in on a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It wasn't like the beginning. It was like I had come in on a conversation.
Yeah.
And I heard just like those Hallmark movies. And I'm driving, and I said, just like those Hallmark movies?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like the Hallmark movies. I said, what do you mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All I heard was just like those Hallmark movies. I said, okay. Boy meets girl. There's a nemesis. There's a problem. They break up. They get back. So somebody has some misinformation. They get back together. And in the end,
back to each other. They're running.
But in the end, they win, and there's victory. So are you telling me that I'm going to get through this, that I'm going to be victorious on the other side of this? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And all I heard was, mm-hmm.
Wow.
So it's not always a breaking of the cloud. It's not like there's some writing in the sky. It is your everyday life. And when you have a relationship with the Lord, He's just going to speak to you in those still moments of relating to you. Yeah. And so I can't really, Lisa, I really can't pinpoint when. I can just look back and say, wow, that happened then. And when that happened, this happened. You know, did you ever see that movie, The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy? All right. So remember when I think he was going to go and he was in this cave and there was this bridge and he had to put his foot down and then the tile it manifested.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until he put his foot down
Right.
until the tile manifested and he was able to walk, and every time he put his foot down he walked. So a lot of times it was like that. It was okay, you've got to do this, and when you do this thing you're going to see this.
Yep.
So it wasn't all laid out and I just said, oh, here are the steps for reinvention. Here's step 1, get it together. Here's step 2, now you do this. Okay, everybody, kumbaya, kumbaya. It was not like that.
Okay.
Sometimes I didn't know until it was over.
Right.
Because you're in the trenches and you're just doing. And you're just going, and you're just taking a class, and you're just signing up for this, and you're just putting yourself out here for this, and you're doing so many things, and then there it is.
Yeah.
And you're like, and now you say, and I'm Dr. Deb Gates. Are you kidding me?
Right.
The one that said, I have enough education. I have 3 years of college. I'm 21.
Right. I don't need anything else.
I don't need anything else. And I don't understand why you haven't signed me up to be your CEO.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, that is rich because I can honestly resonate. So much of what you said has resonated with me. Definitely the journey that you go on. I think for so many reasons, God just won't tell us because he knows we'll jack it up. I know for me, he knows me well.
Absolutely.
She
Absolutely.
jack that up if I tell her too much. So I might not want to tell her when I'm undoing her life. You know, hopefully she gets to a place where she's obedient enough to hear my voice and step out. Right. But that stepping out is so crucial to your reinvention and your putting your life back together and creating the life you want and taking the pressure off of someone else to fulfill those spaces in you that might be deficient.
And the other thing that I would want to say is that even though you have this, that you feel like you know what it is and you're getting it step by step, one of the problems that I had is that I was so tethered to the outcome. Mm-hmm. And so consumed with, is this going to work? Am I going to fail? If I fail, then this. And, I can go from a whole conversation. I mean, I can get one thing and I can take it and I can say what's going to happen. It's going to fail. And then this, and then I can go down this road. And then I go down this road and I can just hear the Lord say, hey.
Right. Now Taylor's destitute and I'm on the side of the road somewhere. And God.
Right. Right.
One comment in the comment section, like you, listen. Right. I hear you. No, I totally hear you. I totally hear you. And I believe that it is a daring task to dare to be who God has called you to be. Because a lot of times that person is not who anyone thought you would be because you didn't even, this is the thing that's hard. You can't introduce people to someone you haven't met.
Right.
And so if you don't know yourself well enough to know what your limitations are or what you will or will not accept, then you've educated people based on what you thought and not what you knew. Right. So when God starts to kind of unveil what it should be to you, it's almost unfair to both of you because you're frustrated that they're not letting you walk in this new anointing you have on your life. And you're frustrated because you're seeing things and even paths perhaps that you didn't think you would walk down.
Right.
Right? Oh my goodness. Deb, this is so good. This is so good. You guys listen, I got more comments. Right people in the right container. Y'all are on fire. Yes, I so resonate with what you're saying. Cammie said that. Step out in faith. Wow. Tracy said that. That's it, Dr. Deb. Cammie. Listen.
It's stepping out. It's stepping out into the unknown. And it is you just knowing that, that's where that relationship comes in. And I'm sorry, I just can't separate. I cannot separate the two. I cannot talk about one without talking about the other.
Absolutely.
Because it's so ingrained. And that's my source. You know, he's a creator. And so I'm going to talk to him to find out what it is that I need to do. And, and sometimes I get my face bashed in, you
Yeah.
know, when this wasn't right. That wasn't the right path. That wasn't the right decision. That wasn't, so you deal with that. And then the consequences of making those decisions.
Right.
They
Listen.
come, I don't care.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
We're
don't
not
care how much Jesus you got. There's some
yeah.
consequences to some
There,
of those decisions. And sometimes they're long. They're I don't want to say that they're lifetime, but they take a longer period of time,
yeah.
especially when you are slow to act or slow to move. And sometimes it'll be a little slow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because it's the fear. You're gripped. So, sometimes you're just gripped by the fear of the fear of the unknown as to whether or not you'll be successful or whether you're going, and especially when you've had some past experiences where you made some wrong decisions, and now you go to the other extreme. You're so cautious about making a decision that you get so paralyzed. You're stuck in quicksand. You're stuck in the mud, in concrete, because now you're like, okay, I don't want to make the wrong. I don't want to make the wrong.
Everything's cool now, so I don't want to jack it up.
Right. I don't want to. Yeah. I don't want to upset the apple cart. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, that is so good. That is so good. I am so grateful for every experience, positive or negative. Some would view them as failure. I've definitely had some failures. Some of my failures very public, but one thing I could absolutely say, and you and I are going to talk about this really quickly because I did kind of mention that I want to talk about this, and that is that my failure absolutely served as a catalyst for what I know now. People, have a tendency, if you could go back to whatever age you wanted to, what number would you go to? There's only one answer I give, and that is, can I take everything I know today with me?
Right.
Because if I can't, I'm not going to do it again.
Right.
I learned on purpose, right?
Yeah.
So let's tell me about, we hear this failing forward. Tell me about, or answer for me whether or not we should allow failure to keep us in the same place.
Should we allow
fear of failure? Should we allow a fear of failure to keep us in the same place?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I know what, it's easier said than done.
Yep.
And so when you feel that fear, so I would suggest, you want to get no man is an island. We're not here to do this alone.
Yes.
There are people out there. And I'm not talking about when you have, you go get a coach, a life coach and all that. I'm talking about the people that are in your circle, the people that you know. And that's a matter of prayer. I would ask God, I was like, okay, so who do I need to talk to about this? Who do I need to talk to about this?
And he will tell you.
And he would lead me or bring me into circumstances or meeting people. And sometimes the people I didn't know that could help me navigate through that process or that process of fear. Wow. That fear, let me tell you what, fear is real. Yeah. And fear can mask itself into so many different ways that you're just so caught up and you're not moving and you're stuck and you're just like, well, you know what, it's really all right. I've really done enough. I really don't need to do this. And, reinvent, really? So you have to make a conscious decision, and it's a fight. So I can't say that it's easy to just say, you just wake up one morning, I'm not afraid anymore. I think I'm just going to go ahead and do it.
I'm going to make the declaration. Right.
Right. I am not afraid.
I am not scared.
And it's like one of my friends says, right. One of my friends says, you do it afraid.
Do it scared. That's right.
You do it. You're shaking in your boots and you just do it. And you start looking at some of the smallest things, not looking at this big picture. If you just take it bite sizes, you take it step by step.
Yeah.
Take it and to downsize it. And you know, one of the things I would tell my friends, take the air out of it.
Yeah.
Bring it down to size. Bring it down to where you can really handle it, what
Yeah.
you need to do. And
Yeah.
reinventing and keep moving. Because life does not stop after 50. It does not stop after 55. It doesn't stop after 60. And so then the Lord will put people in my path. So I
Yeah.
was at the gym and there was a lady teaching Zumba. And she started teaching Zumba. She was going to, you know, she was retired. And so she was exercising. And so she would go to the Zumba class and she said, you know, her husband said, you're at that gym so much, you should probably start teaching a class.
Wow.
And at 65,
Yeah.
she signed up to be a Zumba instructor.
Wow.
And when she would tell people her age, and everybody would look at her waistline, and they were like, oh, when I turn 65, I want my waistline to look like that. I said, I want my waistline to look like that now.
Today.
Today.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's never too late. It's never too late. So the one thing that I would want to impress upon the people that are listening is that it is never too late to fulfill and to work on your dreams of what you want.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
Now, you still have a mind, you still have the use and the activity of your limbs, you still have an idea. And if you have an idea, then that in and of itself says you got some time.
Yep.
Because there's a dancer. And can I step away a little bit, Lisa?
Yeah.
And pull this off the wall? I want to pull this off the wall because this is something that also helps me. All right, and I have to get my glasses.
She's getting her glasses, but I want y'all to notice all her degrees are on the wall behind her. I'm not going to tease her about it, but I just did. Okay.
All right. So Martha Graham is a dancer, was a dancer. And she said, there is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium. The world will not have it. It is not your business to determine how good it is, nor how valuable, nor how it compares with other expressions. It is your business to keep it yours clearly and directly, to keep the channel open and live it.
That's beautiful.
When someone gave me this, I said, you know, so when you start doing things, you start seeing other people that are doing it too. You know, so if you want to speak, then here's another example. So if you decide to buy a red car, when you go into the store, you have your red car and you go out and you come out of the store and you say, oh, let me find my red car. And it's like 9,000 red cars out there because now that's in your sphere. All right. So now you see every red car.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, when did everybody have a red car? I bought a red car because not a lot of people had a red car. And so now you see all these red cars. So when it is that you're about to do something, when it's been something that's placed on you, what I think that happens is now that's placed in your atmosphere and now you're more aware of that. So if it's that you're going to speak or if you're going to do a blog, if you're going to do this, now you see all of these people around you that's doing it. But keep in mind, everybody will not resonate with everybody.
That's right. Find your people. So
instead of us coming together and accepting who, this is my audience, this is your audience, what we end up doing is we end up competing and say, well, I want your audience. Well, what about your audience?
Right.
And so it helped me to see what I have to offer, what I have to say may not resonate with everybody, but if it resonates with one person, have I fulfilled what I was supposed to do?
Yeah, that's good. I want to ask you to repeat who wrote that quote.
Martha Graham. So
Martha
Google Martha
Graham.
Graham. Yeah, Martha Graham was a dance. She was a great choreographer, a dancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to read this to you. It says, all of us have to learn to invent our lives, make them up, imagine them. We need to be taught these skills, and we need our guides to show us how. If we don't, our lives get made up for us by other people.
It happens.
Oh my gosh. Now,
Because what people,
you know our guides are the Holy Spirit, but you know what I mean.
Right. Because what people want to do, people want to put you in a space that's comfortable for them.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so it's comfortable for them, but it may be uncomfortable for you.
Absolutely.
And once again, when I'm speaking, I'm not speaking about any extremes.
Yeah.
I'm speaking about balance.
Yeah.
And so you have to step out and balance. You have to balance some of these relationships. And I mean all relationships. Your husband and your wife. You know, I've been married before, so I've been there being single with your male friends, maybe your platonic friends, or if you're dating, or your girlfriends, or your coworkers. In all of that,
Yeah.
you have to balance. I mean, even after going through being where I am, I still came to a point where I said, you know what? I need to set some boundaries.
Yes.
And in setting those boundaries, they don't always feel good to you or to the other person, but they're necessary.
Absolutely.
They're necessary. And so we can't be afraid to set those boundaries, because let me tell you, if you've had one friend, you can get another one.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Friends are plentiful. You can get another friend. You can get another set of friends. You can. And I'm not saying that everybody that's not in your circle, then you have to cut them off and not speak. I'm not saying that. Now, there are times
right
when that does happen, where you do have to cut them off.
Yeah.
And we have to be okay with that.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. I had to be okay with that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think we have to circle back to the spiritual component in this, and that is that God has given us this life to steward, and it is our responsibility to make sure that we are on target with the purpose that He has set forth for us.
Right.
And our inability to set those boundaries, or to be making sure we're walking in purpose before Him, it makes us, because when we get up to heaven, we can't say, well, I was cool with so and so, and so because I was cool with her, I didn't do what you called me to do. He's not going to be like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Go ahead and make what I wanted.
Right. and it doesn't make that person a bad person.
Yeah.
That person needs to be around in the circle of the people that person needs to be around to thrive and to speak, because maybe somebody else would resonate. Maybe they would resonate different. Maybe they would interact differently. Yeah. That's why it's so important to not share that information with somebody else, something that you went through with that particular person. It's so important not to do that, because people can form an opinion based on your experience with that person, when your experience may be entirely different. Yes.
And people walk up to you like they know you already, based on what someone else said.
Right, what someone else has said. And then when they get to know you, they're like, oh, well, you weren't like that.
Right.
Yeah. Really cool. Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I just think that we could just spend a little bit more time in relationship with the Lord. Absolutely. I think we can spend a little bit more time in relationship with ourselves, and to be honest with yourself. Yeah. There's having a self-awareness. Yep. And I'm not for, I'm not for the negative self-talk. I'm not for that. But to be honest with yourself. And when you're honest with yourself, then you can, okay, you know what? I really do procrastinate. I probably need to fix that. I need to work on that. Yeah, I'm probably really not that great at this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could probably work on that. You know what? I kind of do this well. I could probably do this a little bit better. Then I'll probably work on that. Not someone that's sitting there and is beating themselves up about everything. No, that is not what I'm talking about. That's unhealthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And nobody is perfect.
Right.
And don't let people's
right.
yeah. And don't and the other thing is that we cannot let someone else's perception of who we are become our reality.
That's right.
So it is a self-awareness, and it's the work. And you know what was Ayala? She said when she says put in the work.
Yeah.
You got to put in the work for yourself, and you've got to be honest with yourself and be your authentic self.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Be yourself. What's that quote that says, be yourself because everybody else is taken?
Right.
Listen, this has been so meaty and so rich, and I am so grateful to you for coming to share with us tonight. Dr. Debra Gates, thank you so much for your time. That I've seen, Cammie has put that quote in the chat. If you guys want the quote, cut and paste it in the chat for you. Dr. Deb, thank you guys so much. Thank you, everyone. Right, she said part 2. Right. Thank you, everyone, for coming to share with us. And without further ado, my loves, that is a wrap. Have a wonderful weekend. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Good night. Wasn't that an amazing conversation? I am so grateful that she was able to come and share her time with us. Listen, we are here every single week, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Email me at contact@lisadanielle.com, and we'll be sure to give you access for our future episodes. And remember, I believe in you. Now it's time for you to believe in yourself. Take care.